Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is episode 4 of the 99 Chevy Silverado getting the Carolina squat. As you can see from this picture here, a lot of modifications have been done since the last video. I'm going to go through the things I've gotten taken care of, and we're going to do a couple on-camera modifications to show you kind of some of the things I have to go through to make these vehicles look the way I envision them. So the first thing is you see some way bigger tires sitting on here. I just got them sitting in here. These are from a donor truck that I had bought from a gas station quite a few years ago, probably 10 plus years. And so I had these wheels on here before, and that's all I had. So I was like, that's what's going to have to work. But they did look pretty small for the truck. And I got suggestions on the hobby Facebook channel that I'm a part of that I needed bigger wheels, and I agreed. I remembered I had this truck, so these wheels will get installed today. I've cut all the axles except this one, and I'm going to do this one on the channel for you to show you how I did it. The donor truck came with steel axles front and back, so I've already taken care of cutting all the axles. The front ones are going to be shorter axles, and the rear ones are going to be a tiny bit longer. And we also have to Dremel the holes out of here so that we can slide those axle shafts in, among plenty of other things that we got to get done on the channel today. So the first thing I had to do, I had the wheels and tires already glued on, so I had to twist and turn the wheels until they finally came off. You see, I'll have to do some cleanup later on the rims because the axle, usually when it's glued with this kind of glue right here, it's pretty permanent. And so when you go to take plastic models apart, you usually end up breaking or tearing something up. So if you're going to be customizing stuff, prepare to have to repair whatever you take apart after you've already glued it. So when I twisted the hubs off, you'll see that it's got some damage on the hubs. So I probably won't be able to use these again, but I'll clean them up. And if I can in a future build, then, I'll reuse those. Let me get this stuff out of the way. Get to the next thing. So this right here was with the older wheels. And this is the disc brake and the caliper. And of course this would look very, you can't even see it on here. So I've decided that I'm going to dry fit these today. I'm not going to glue them after I get the holes drilled. And then hopefully I can come up with an idea, unless you guys have some suggestions of what to put on the back to simulate disc brakes on it. And if you look, you'll see that I painted it green, and the green that I used is this matte Spanish moss by Crayon. It says Fusion All-in-One Paint and Primer, and it did really good. I put 3 coats on it. The paint job, I think, turned out really good. The only problem I'm having, like this side, I haven't done the decals on yet. So I think the paint turned out really good. But I'm doing the camo decals out of a, let me get this down here. I'm using the decals from this model kit because I was going to do something different with this truck. And so, doing the custom work, trying to get these decals to fit, you can see I haven't trimmed anything, and the decals are really kind of tearing a little bit here and there. You see, like, they're literally like falling off. But I was told it's because it had a matte finish on it, that they might not be sticking well. But so I figured, I was gonna install all of the decals, give it about a month for them to set in, and if they continue to flake off like this, then I will do some research on how to actually do the camo myself. I'm gonna zoom out here, get a little bit clearer. All right, let's see here. All right, so got it to focus better. So we're just gonna see how the decals turn out after I get them all put together, get the truck finished. Like I said, wait a month, and if they don't do good, then we're gonna research how to paint these things by hand. That should be fun, because that is something I've never done. You see that the glass is not installed yet. The glass on this particular model get installed after the truck is done, so I'm going to wait a month until I install those to see how these decals do. And if I have to paint it, then the glass won't be in the way to have to mask up. So the glass will be installed in a later video. And you'll see that the interior has been installed. It's completed, all the decals. You can see that everything on the interior is done. And I took the visors, if you can see right there. I cut them loose from the visor attachment that goes on the inside, and folded those out like if the sun was shining on them. Just a little extra modification that I thought would look cool, to have the visors out, blocking the sun. So I completed the engine. Needs a little touch up here and there to finish it up from installation, putting glue on it. But got the master cylinder painted up. Hopefully the focus is in good. Got the condenser back here for the air conditioner, and then the coolant reservoir, the air filter box, the top radiator hose. I mean, all of it installed pretty easy. It's not a bad install. Got the battery stickers, got the washer fluid sticker installed. So it's coming along nice as far as getting the decals finished up on it, on the things that I can get done. And went ahead and I had a suggestion to put a 5-inch exhaust on it, to make it look more the fad of the Carolina Squat. So what I ended up doing, I got it over here. There it is. I ended up using a straw, which is a lot bigger than the exhaust. And so I just cut a piece off of it, angled the cut on the outside. And so then, if you see right here, I actually had to cut this piece of exhaust, re-glue it, and then I put these on here. They don't look great under the truck, but once I get the bed on it, you won't be able to see any of that, and especially with the tires. So let me get this lined up here. So it'll look something like that after the modifications are done, everything's installed. So coming right out at the edge of the bed, it's going to look exactly the way it's supposed to. I haven't done any decals on the bed because I had lost one of these rear panels, and instead of trying to take my limited skills and make the panel look just like that, I decided to take some styrofoam board. At first I used the whole piece, and the glue is so strong it just melted the styrofoam. So it ended up having just this piece was would stay sticking to it. So I took my X-Acto knife, cut the whole back side out, cleaned it up a little bit, and do some more cleaning once I make sure that these pieces are very solid, because since it's just a very thin piece, they're really easy to just pull right off. But what I'm going to end up doing is doing some sanding on this, making it smooth, and getting this the right line with the tail lights, which I actually found. The very first video, I mentioned that I had lost the tail lights and that fender. Well, I didn't find the other fender, but I did find the tail lights. So I don't have to try to recreate those things. That would have been near impossible. Let's put these over here. This over here. Now, if you remember the first video, or if you've seen it, if you haven't, go back and watch that. You see the very first intro. These were on here to give it more of a custom look, and that's usually the idea of where the exhaust would come out on this particular model. And I decided I didn't want that because I'm going with the Carolina Squat mod look, to where the exhaust is going to come out at the back. So I popped those off. They were glued. So I popped those off of it and decided that I would just run the exhaust out the back. And so if you see that the inside of the bed, the top of it, all that has been painted, and it looks pretty good. I mean, if you see when I did the alcohol bath on it, hopefully you can see the detail in there, where it looks like it's kind of blotchy, kind of scratched up and stuff here. I think it actually gives it kind of a used look, because all the paint didn't come out from this particular part. It came out, almost all the paint that was on here, the pink and the white, almost all of that came off from the alcohol bath. And another reason why I decided to go camo, to kind of cover up any imperfections that were left, instead of trying to make it a pristine looking body, since it's been through so much trying to get the paint right on the truck. And so that's another reason why I went with the idea of making it camo. I had a guy say that he never saw a camo one, but yeah, I decided the story on this truck is the fictional story is that the guy that owns this has some buddies that got their pimped out rides with the Carolina Squat, and theirs are the ones that look normal with they're white or black, and they got the blacked out windows, and you know, the 5-inch exhaust tips. But this guy, he still goes hunting, and so he's still going to take this thing to the woods. He can't go off road with it. I mean, there has to be a road out there to where he goes hunting, but because it's only 2-wheel drive. But he's still going to go out there and do his redneck stuff. Now, on the last video or so, I had installed the control arms back in place with the springs that I had put. And so one of the things we're going to do today is we're going to install the another set of springs that'll go in here, because I already did the back. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully so. I installed just some pieces of the tree, as far as the plastic that all these pieces come on. A white piece of tree here that I installed in place to hold this control arm. And today we're going to install these springs up front that came off our lowrider kit, and that will complete this install. As far as the suspension, still got to touch up and reinstall the sway bar on it today. We're going to do that in just a minute. Just want to get you apprised on what I've got done so far on the truck. Decided not to put these parts on. These would be your running boards that go on the bottom of a custom truck. The paint wasn't coming off of them good. I kind of got tired of trying to clean everything with the alcohol bath. So I was like, well, maybe I could use those in a future build. And so I decided the body lines line up good. Dude's going to be taking it off road, so he doesn't need it any lower than what it already is. And I'm going to use this front bumper. Don't know if I'll install it today, but I'm going to use this front bumper for the truck. I think that's going to give it a really good look with the chrome, with the paint job that I have on it. So just a little bit of chrome on it, because I mean, you know the old country song, my favorite color is chrome. And instead of the rolled rear end at the back, which has exhaust and wouldn't go with the Carolina squat look, I'm going to use the regular bumper for the back, and this will get painted, you know, for the tread strips, and might see if I can find a hitch, drill a hole in there and put me a hitch on the back of it. It's got to have a hitch on it, right? So he can pull his boat or whatever when he wants to go fishing. I do have a spare tire piece that actually mounts right here in the back, but I've decided I'm not going to use that. I actually have, from this kit, the spare tire rim that would usually go in there. So I'm going to put a wheel on this, and I'm going to slide this thing on the back here and mount that and have an actual wheel hanging on there, just like you would normally. Because I've never seen any vehicles, very few, maybe one or two, that still had the original cover over the tire. But it's almost always never there. Most of the time it wasn't even included on the trucks. So we're just going to have a real tire hanging out right there. Let's see what we got. This is another part that was originally on the truck. Had it glued, had it painted. It's actually like a little spoiler that goes on the back of the truck. This guy's country, so he's not using a spoiler. He is not going like that. Alright, so another thing in just a minute that we're going to get to is we have got to Dremel these holes out, like I mentioned earlier. And so I found that this Dremel bit looks like it would be about the right size. This one's the exact size, but I don't want the wheels wobbling around, making it even harder to install them and to glue them. So in just a few minutes, we're going to use this one, and then we'll see how they fit. If I have to, then I'll change the bits to adjust that. Now, when I put these axles back in here, because they were already installed in here, when I put the axles back in here, I did give them a little tap with the hammer to get them started. And then I took my vice grips, locked them down on it, and just turned it in there till it got all the way into the rim. So you got a nice solid hookup right there, so that is solid. The only thing that would have a potential chance of being loose is it mounted in the plastic. That's why I'm going with a slightly smaller Dremel bit over here. Now, the original video, the first episode, I had already taken the gas tank out. I have not reinstalled that and will not paint it, work on it or anything until the bed is mounted and glued on, so I know exactly where the tank needs to go. Just wanted to update you on that will probably be the last thing installed on the truck, minus any kind of aftermarket things I got to put in here, because I'd like to find me a little cooler, a couple of beer cans, you know. I'm gonna I got a sticker coming from a fellow hobbyist that's going to go on the window back here, an Eagle American flag. It's really going to set the truck off to have a mural like that on the back glass. And also on the inside, I'm going to leave all these glasses when I install them. There will be no glass in the front, but it comes with rear glass. And so I'm going to leave those clear, because on the back glass, I have a couple of guns and a gun rack that I'm going to mount on the back glass. So I want you to be able to see that detail there. So what I'm going to do is we will use the cutting wheel and cut the last axle. We'll get that done right now, and then I'm going to pause and change the bits out, get all the holes dremelled, show you the last one getting dremelled, and get this video wrapped up in just a few minutes. So let's get my truck out of the way so I don't beat it up any more than I've beat it up. Make sure we're in the camera here. Now this one is one of the rear ones, and so the axle is going to be a little bit longer. I did try to find my masking tape. Not sure where it's at right this minute, but the front ones I ended up cutting probably around 1/4 of an inch axle shaft on it, and for the rear probably going to go something like maybe 3/8 of an inch, something like that, just a little bit longer, because on the back the hub's a little bit bigger, so it can accept a little bit longer shaft, and the longer the axle shaft, the more solid it's going to be in the plastic. So I'm going to turn this on. If you're watching this at night, it's fixing to get a little noisy. Turn your volume down just a hair. And then we'll be right back to changing the bits and dremeling the holes out. There's no need to turn it up too high. It's a very thin piece of metal. And so we're going to set her down and get this cut here. And of course I have my safety glasses on. If you're going to be doing anything with the Dremel, please wear your safety glasses. Let's turn it up a little bit higher. Alright, so hopefully you can hear me over the Dremel. I've got that cut off. Now what I want to do is grind this edge down a little bit, just so that it makes installation a little bit smoother. And just watch your fingers. This Dremel don't get a hold of you, because it is a cutting wheel that's on here, and it will cut you. Alright. So, if you can see that right there, I've cut it, I rounded the edge so that installation will be easier, and I'm going to pause and change the bits, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I've dremeled all the holes except the last one. It's the first time I've done this, so one of the holes turned out perfect. This left front, it's pretty much solid in there. It's got a little bit of looseness to it, but for it being completely custom and installing metal axles where they're not supposed to go, it's turning out pretty good. However, be careful with, if you're doing this, trying to make a similar modification, the Dremel metal on this kind of plastic will just eat it away in no time. So 1 minute the hole's too small and you're like, oh, it's not big enough for the axle shaft, and then next thing you know, you've dremeled it out too far, which the glue that I use, or that almost any modeler uses, will take care of the problem. Just don't have your Dremel turn too high, and drill a little bit out, test it, drill it out, test it. That's what we're going to do right now. Again, if you're watching this at night, it's going to be a little bit noisy, and then we'll be back after I get done drilling this hole out. Another thing to know, if you don't know, if this is the first time you're doing this, is that plastic is very, very soft, and it will get hot and melt in a minute, and you'll go from drilling a hole in it to melting it. And that's what I did on one of them. It started to melt it because I had the Dremel turned up too high. So drill a little hole, see how the fitment is. The hole's the perfect size. It's just now we gotta see how far we can get down in there without actually messing it up, which is what I did to the other three, pretty much. The other two on the other side, pretty much drilled the hole too big every time. Alright, just making sure I'm still in the view of the camera. So on the front, it was easy because I cut the shafts, the axle shaft, a lot shorter. But on the back, like I said, I wanted it to be more solid. And so I just have to keep drilling down till what I'm doing is I'm drill it down till I get right at the seam of the rim here, if possible. All of them, I got them to where it was like right almost on the rim, but not quite. So that's what I'm trying to do to this one. More of the decals coming off. Alright, it is almost perfect. Hopefully don't mess it up. A little bit more. Perfect. Now, as you see, the hole's a little bit too big, but once I put some glue on that and get it propped up, let it set overnight, those wheels will be solid, and this truck will have the perfect stance that it's supposed to. Now, we're going to get these tools set aside. I'll put the wheels over here because, like I said, what I wanted to do today was a dry fit for the wheels. Look, see, that one's the only one that's actually solid. The rest of them, especially this front side over here, look at that thing. See, I did that one a little too much. It's one of those things you learn as you go, and this is something I hadn't done before. So those wheels will go on there, get glued on off camera and set up to dry. So now I got the holes drilled out for the axle shafts, and I've put the bed on here with the rear axle, and what I might end up having to do, because these wheels are so big, I'm not sure, but what I might have to do is I might have to adjust the leaf springs. So as you can see, one, I got to do some trimming here because the bed still is pitched up a bit, but also it's on top of the tire. So I may end up having to lift the back, crazy enough, on the Carolina Squat, because these tires are really big. But it's going to give it the look that it's supposed to have. So that's going to be awesome. All right, so let me pause, get my tool out of the way, and then we'll go into the front suspension. All right, so got everything moved out of the way. I've already installed one of the springs. It's all painted flat black, so hopefully you can see the the spring there. So I've installed it. And this one I dry fit. It was a slight bit too tall, so I went to trim it. And now, if you can look, I don't know if you can see the detail, but this is actually 2 coil springs, a little tiny short one and a longer one that was for the lowrider kit. I had glued them together, so while I was trying to trim it, it wanted to break on me. So hopefully this goes as planned, and I can just put some glue on here and install it. But if it breaks apart, you will definitely see the catastrophes that happen sometimes when trying to build these model cars custom like this. So I'll take this piece and set it on the glue. It's going to be like the last time, the very first video, when I tried to install the front end. Let's see, get that in there. Nope. Let's get the tweezers, napkin. I do want to get some better glue once I run through all this. I don't want to waste it and just throw it away. But once I get some better glue, I've seen a lot of people have way less problem than the glue that I use, because it pretty much is too wet when you put it on, and it doesn't want to dry for a few seconds. It doesn't want to stick at all. So what I've done sometimes when using this glue is I will put glue on the part, then let it set for a minute, and then install it. I want this to look as good as it can. I need to pull this out to get it lined up. The bottom wants to spin when you move the top. Top wants to move when you move the bottom. Just, you have to be patient, and it will work out eventually. There we go. I think that's got it. Oh, see, top moved again. Get my hands out of there. Alright. So, as you see, they kind of pitched a little bit, one to each side. And everything has been installed here as far as the suspension, except the sway bar. That will get installed off camera. I may include it on one of the later videos, but I'm pretty sure just going to attach it back where it goes, and that'll be good. But yeah, this glue right here, I've used it for as long as I've done model cars, except when I was a kid and I was using the blue kind, which is even worse because it takes forever to dry. But I've used this Tester's liquid cement forever. And it does pretty good. It does pretty good. But once I run through this one, I got a whole nother one to use. And then I got one of those cheapo tubes that come with some of the kits that you buy. Sometimes they come in there. And so if this glue is still good, which it still feels flexible in there, I will see if I can refill this thing, which I've never seen this cap come off. So that might be an adventure in itself to try to figure out how to get the cap off of this thing. And once I get through that, then I'm going to move on to a more professional modeling glue. This right here is definitely great for people starting out, for middle level modelers, but the custom work I'm doing, I want to hit it with glue. I want it to stick and move on. And so this one doesn't quite do that. As you can see, the bottom of the interior didn't get painted, so I got to sneak in there and get all that flat black before I get it finished up. Last thing on the list, I had already talked about the exhaust, but it was a clear straw. So in order to give it the look of exhaust, I took a paintbrush and let me get paintbrush here, kind of like the one I had. Similar to this, just a regular old cheap paintbrush. And I dry tested it first to make sure it would go in there. And see, this one's too big, so I had a smaller one, like a more professional brush. One of these thin ones like this. But I test fitted to make sure that it wouldn't, the brush wouldn't get caught on the outside when I went in with paint. And so I took it and went around inside the exhaust with flat black. So it gave it the appearance of being used exhaust. When you would look at it, you would see inside it's black. And then I haven't finished the paint on the outside. I've put one coat of silver on the outside to look like chrome exhaust. Like I said, under the truck it doesn't look amazing, but when you put the bed on it, that's all you see. It's going to have the bumper at the back, so when you're looking at the truck, all you're going to see is that giant 5-inch exhaust sticking out. So we're going to wrap this video up. I'm already at 36 minutes, and just want to say, if you like it, leave a like. If you want to comment, put a comment down. And if you like the channel, subscribe. I'm going to post a video soon of the upcoming models that are get done, because this one's getting close to the end. So I'm going to post what's coming next. So this truck's coming along. It's just a cool idea. I started out with just a lower truck. I already had it built. I had the suspension ready. I didn't have it completely finished, but the suspension was done. And then all of a sudden I got the idea to do the Carolina Squad on it to really just like make it unique. And so I've had to cut a lot of things. I've had to repurpose a lot of pieces that normally wouldn't be on the truck. And to give it the stance I wanted it to have, use straws. I had to recut the exhaust. So there's a lot of things that come with trying to do the things I want to do to these trucks or cars that I'll be doing in the future. And I will try to show all the extreme modification parts on each build, just so that you can see how I did the extreme part of the modification. Everything else, like gluing the interiors, there's already tons of videos of people doing interiors and stuff like that. So unless it's something really special, something really out of the ordinary, I'm not going to be posting that. That'll be off-camera builds, and then I'll come back and show you the custom stuff. If you happen to get this model truck here and that camo, don't be surprised if it doesn't go on right, if it doesn't stay, especially if you're doing a matte finish on it. Just be aware that some of these bigger decals don't go on as good as you would like them to. If you can see right here, I didn't sand down the 1500 sign on the side, and it's bubbled up around that. So I got a few ideas to try to fix that. But if not, I'm going to figure out how to paint the camo and just really make it stand out with having the camo painted on instead of these fake camo stickers here. That's everything. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching episode 4. And I hope your models are going great. And please subscribe. See you in the next video. Have a good day.